Welcome, everyone, to today's presentation, Marketing Basics, brought to you by SCORE Central Valley. Today's presentation is being recorded, and we're going to email it to you. So if you lose track in taking notes, be comforted by the fact that we're going to send you the notes and a link to the recording. We want you to ask questions, but we would like for you to write them in the chat or in the Q&A section, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. I'd like to introduce today our guest webinar lecturer, presenter, pardon me, Reiva Lesonsky, as we were talking about faux pas before we came on. We forgot to mention coughs and mispronunciations. She's from GrowBiz Media, and she's been great in all the previous webinars. So we want to, her contact information is here. I want to turn it over to Reiva.
Great. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you, SCORE, for inviting me to do this. As Tom said, I'm from GrowBiz Media. Our website is smallbusinesscurrents.com. You can subscribe to our Currents newsletter. It comes out once a week. It'll take you less than 5 minutes to read it. Always talks about something that's new in small business. If you have any questions, they will mail you the webinar. But if you have any questions, you can email me at Reiva, and that's R-I-E-V-A at GrowBiz Media, or you can follow me on Twitter at Reiva, R-I-E-V-A, and ask me questions. So we're going to get started because we have a lot of information to talk about. We're here to talk about marketing, right? About putting your marketing plan together, putting it into action, because businesses, you have to have marketing in order to survive. And the thing about marketing today is there's so many components, right? There's traditional marketing, there's social media, content, voice, email, PR and publicity, search, and mobile marketing. And I'm sure that I missed a lot. And what marketing does, right? All those things help you build awareness, trust, explain and inform what you're about to consumers, attract new customers, increase your sales, cement relationships with your customers, have conversations with them, improve engagement with them, because that's all about the key to business is building trust. That's what people do, business with people they know, like, and trust. And so when you think of marketing, I don't want you to think of it as a way to sell. I want you to think of it as a way that you can build trust with your customers. And so you're always top of mind. So if they need what you sell, you're going to be the first person, the first business that they think of. You're going to be the one they recommend to their friends, their family, their colleagues. So that's what this is all about. So let's get started. So the first key is about integrating your marketing. So we talked about all the different components of marketing, all the different pieces, and so many small business owners treat them as that, treat them as separate. Like, okay, here's my email marketing, and okay, here's my mobile, and they're all in these separate silos. But that's wrong. Marketing needs to be integrated. Your business, your website, whatever your business is, you know, whether it's online, offline, or both, that's at the core, that's at the hub. And everything feeds into that. Everything you do is trying to feed into your business. And all of those are interconnected too. I'm not talented enough at PowerPoint to connect all those little blue circles, but they should be, because they all not only feed into the business, but one feeds into the other. Like, you would use your social media to promote you know, your email to promote your social media, or ratings and review sites. You want to make sure that people are aware of them. So you can use social media to do that. And then mobile is a whole other thing. You want to make sure everything you do is mobilely optimized. So we're going to get started. So the first thing you do is get your ducks in a row. And I just love this slide, so I have to say that. I know it's such an old expression, but it's just too cute. So the first thing, organizational tools. It can seem really overwhelming to organize your marketing. So the first thing you need to do is choose a filing system, right? This is someplace that you can always have access to. It's based in the cloud, which is really important. And there are many different ones: Google Drive, Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, iCloud Drive, Box. There's more. And all those, everything that's blue and hyperlinked should take you out to, another article or source of information that evaluates what those are and tells you here are the advantages, here are the disadvantages. Pick a calendar system. It really helps to have shareable calendar tools. That works. Project management, depending on what you do. So to manage your tasks, there's so many different ones. Sometimes if you're in, like me, I have to use the ones my clients like. So, I'm juggling Trello for one person and Asana for another. So you can try them out. Some of them are still free. Some of them have free trials. So try them out, but it really helps you stay organized and on track. And then of course you always want to measure and analyze your data. And almost everything you do comes with, Google has analytics, all your social media platforms, they have their own analytics. You might want to get an outside analytic tool as well. So you can measure what you do, always take the thing that works the best as a test, and then constantly iterate. You're never satisfied with marketing. You always want to iterate and see what you can do next. Okay, so now you're going to create your marketing plan. You have to set a goal. What are your goals? What do you want your marketing to accomplish? And then put a deadline to that. And what does success mean to you? Everybody has a different definition of what they want marketing to do. You want to generate leads. You want to get actual customers. Do you want to hit a certain amount of revenue? Once you meet those goals, and I actually say before you get to the actual goal, as you approach it, set a new goal, because you always want to be striving upward. Then figure out, what is your competition doing? First of all, identify your competition, and then see what marketing methods do they use? What marketing tools do they use? You can always use your competition kind of as a guideline to best practices, right? This is what they're doing. If you're not doing it, I'm not saying that they're right, but you should at least look into it, because, I always go in, well, what do they know that I don't know? And maybe nothing, right? Maybe they think they know something and they don't, but you're not going to know until you identify it and experiment with it. Then define your target audience, create a buyer persona. And again, you can click on that link and figure out what that means. And then you have this person or people in your head about who your target audience is, and you want to design your marketing with this person in mind. Will you get other people outside of that persona? Probably, but you want to make sure that you're hitting that persona. That's your key spot. Research, plan your marketing tactics. That's what we're going to talk about, the different tactics. Develop a timeline, create a budget, and then get going. So if creating a budget, how much can you afford, right? If your sales are less than $5 million, typical small business marketing budget is 7 to 8% of your gross revenues. Many people spend about 3 to 5%. Many small businesses spend 3 to 5%. And that's okay. I'm not telling you to spend more money than you have, or to jump in and create, something that you're uncomfortable with, but try to spend at least $500 a month. That maybe sounds like a lot, but it's worth it, because if you don't market, no one's going to know you exist, right? And so you have to spend some money in order to build awareness. So we're going to get started. Most marketing today is really digital, which is good because it's cheaper. So we're going to start with the basics. It's a website. And I always want to be able to dump this slide. This is the slide that really annoys me that I have to have, because at this point in 2022, I want to hope that every business has a website, but they don't. And that is frustrating. You have to have a website. I don't care what you do. You have to have a website, because that's how people find you, right? We don't have yellow pages anymore. People go online to find businesses. That is how they discover anybody doing anything. And a website gives you control. Social media is not a website, right? Facebook will tell you, oh, you don't really need a website. You have us. No, they have them. Facebook owns Facebook. Facebook controls Facebook. Facebook owns their algorithm. And it's not just Facebook, all of them. They own their algorithms. They own their policy. They can change things at any time. You need a website because that's your home. You own it. That's your content, your data. You're in charge of that, right? So create a website. It is not expensive. You can DIY it. You can hire somebody to build it for you. You can consult with your SCORE mentor. If you're like, what, how do I do this? Where do I get started? SCORE can help you do that. And the real reason you want to do it is businesses that grow actively online expect to grow 40% faster if they're online than if they're not. So we're going to start with search, right? That is what everybody does. There's 6 billion internet users worldwide. And so they go on their computer and they're searching for stuff. That's how they do it, right? Think about what you do when you want to find something. Google, which is the biggest, has about 99,000 searches a second. So I don't know how many seconds that sentence took me to say and how many searches happened in the space of that time. But it's about 8.5 billion a day. And that's just Google. You know, it's not Bing and Yahoo and Go, I think it's GoDuckGo or I can't remember the name of that search engine. But there are plenty of search engines, so you need to do that. So this is what happens. Sources of brand discovery. This is a survey from Hootsuite. They do this every year and it comes out every January. So this is when a consumer goes on a search engine, when a consumer is looking for a business, this is the primary way that they do it. And search engines are just the number one. It's even better than an ad on TV. And we all know that most small businesses can't afford ads on TV. I mean, maybe some cable, but so search engines are cheap, right? In some cases, it's free to get discovered there. So you want to make sure that you do what you're supposed to do, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But you can look at the other things there. So the other thing you want to do is you want to test your site speed. And this is for mobile, but also your regular site. Google uses your mobile page speed, like how fast you load, as a ranking factor, as an organic ranking factor. So if you're slow, you're going to be penalized in your organic ranking. And if you're not, you're going to get rewarded. So you can go to that URL there, and it's a free tool, and enter your own URL and they'll tell you if you're too slow or if you're fine. So how I talked about the yellow pages. How do you get discovered? It's about online directories. Those are today's yellow pages. So a business directory is simply that. It's basically an online yellow pages. It's a list of businesses either in an area, in a niche, in a category, and it helps local businesses get found. So what you want to do there, you want to sign on to all the directories, right? You want to add updates. You want to be consistent in your name, address, and phone number. And it sounds ridiculous, but when I say consistent, I mean, don't go to Google My Business and write street and go to Bing's directory and write ST. It sounds silly, but they don't recognize different abbreviations. So you just want to make sure that your name, address, and phone number are exactly the same in all the directories. Include a description, be detailed, but you're not writing a paper here, so don't write hundreds and hundreds of words. You can use pictures or videos. Why? Because it sends referral traffic straight to your website. You're going to get fresh leads from it because this is where people are going. It helps you get consumer reviews. It builds your online reputation management, and meaning it builds your audience, and it improves your SEO. So here's what you do. The first thing you do is you claim your listing. You already have a listing in Google My Business because Google has done that, but it may not be, if you don't claim it, it's likely not to be accurate. So these are the things that when you go to Google, right, and you put a business in there, it's the thing that comes up on the right side of your screen, that little box. So you want to make sure your phone number is correct, your address is correct if you have a physical business. If you don't have a physical business, you want to make sure your address is not listed there. You want to make sure that your URL is there, that your hours of operation are there. And this is key. So Google My Business is the big one. That's the one you want to make sure you're in. And then you can, do the others after that. Bing, don't forget about Bing. About a quarter of all search queries in the US use Bing. You want to make sure that if you are a physical store and you change your hours, if you have summer hours or if you have holiday hours, you want to go into your Google My Business listing and change your hours, because that's how people are going. Think about what you do as a consumer. You go there and say, oh, what time do they open in the morning? I do that at least once a week, probably more, to see what time a store is going to open. There are so many search directories, and this is a lot of detailed work that is going to take time, where you could really be spending it on more lucrative activities. So maybe ask your web host if they do this, if they register businesses on directories, or talk to a web marketing services provider. I think this is a great task outsource because it just takes too much time to do. These are the top 20 local business directories per HubSpot. I love HubSpot. It's a really great resource. So these are the ones that they said. So these are the ones that you want to make sure that you're on. Some of them are specific, to, well, Angie used to be Angie's List. So that used to be specific to, home remodeling services, but now they're broader. So just check them all out. Those are all clickable links. They're all hot links. So you should just check them out and make sure that you're on them. Okay, so now we're going to talk about social media. So why? People think, oh, social media is such a waste of time. It's not. There's 270.1 million social media users in the United States. There's only 335 million of us. So that's like 81% of the total US population is using social. That's up 30 million between last year and this year. So it's not like, oh, it's so yesterday. People are still doing it. 40% of working age internet users and 50% of people ages 16 to 24 specifically go to social networks to research businesses and products. So you can't not be there. Here are the benefits of social media. Number one, it increases your brand exposure. It increases your web traffic. You can see the rest. It's important because that's where people find you. And it's all about being found. It's about being discovered. So these are the 10 social media trends that are sort of in force right now. TikTok is going to dominate this year. So far, it has done that. Reaching new audiences is the number one goal of businesses that use social. Companies are going to make more dedicated social media hires. You cannot have an intern do your social media because interns churn. Social media is your face to the world. You don't want to trust what you're putting out there to the world to someone you don't know, don't trust, and who's going to be gone in 3 months. It's just not a good idea. So you want to, have an employee who at least spends part of their time dedicated, not fit it in when you can, a dedicated certain part of your time to do social. AR is going to become more prevalent. B2B businesses are going to increase their investments in Instagram and Twitter. Influencer marketing is still really important. Social advertising is still cheap. Buying ads on social media is still so relatively inexpensive and really geo-targeted. So you can really target to a geography or a demographic, really minute. And so that really helps you take your budget and really not waste money targeting people who don't care what you do. More long and short form content is working. Social selling is going to grow. We're going to talk about that. And Consumers want snackable content, right? Don't give them 4,000 word things to look at. Make it short. Here are the most used social channels for B2B. You can see LinkedIn leads the way. Facebook, you might think Facebook, B2B, why does that make sense? Just by its sheer numbers. You know, Facebook just has so many users that sort of by default. But from what I've heard from people, the most successful channels for B2B marketers are LinkedIn and Twitter, actually. So here's some more digital marketing tactics, right? Email. Email is the ruler of the marketing kingdom. It has been for a long time now. The ROI on email is it's going to generate you $42 for every dollar you spend. You cannot top that anywhere. That is an amazing price. 64% of small businesses use email marketing to reach their customers, and about 1 in 5 campaigns is not optimized for mobile. That's really bad, because when people are looking at their phones, checking their email, if you are not optimized for mobile, they're just going to delete you. They don't care. They're not going to save it for later. I mean, maybe, you know, if you're that business that they're waiting for something for, but very few businesses fall into that category. So you want to make sure your email is mobile optimized. What does email do? Well, look at these key parts, these key components of marketing. Building awareness, email really is not in the picture because you can only email people who you have permission to email, right? So email is not in that equation there. If you want to build awareness, you do it with blog posts, articles, and social media. But to secure leads, email's number one. To nurture leads, email's number one. To convert leads, email's number 2 by 1 percentage point. So that's how important email marketing is. It gets you, it allows you to take care of your leads. Video marketing. So this is sort of the condensed version of this presentation. So we're not going to dwell on any one thing. Video marketing, 86% of businesses use video as a marketing tool. People think video, it's expensive, it's complicated. It's not. You can see how it's grown, you know, from 2016, where only 61%, where now it's 86% of small businesses. And the most common use for small businesses of email is an explainer video, right? I'm sure you've all watched them. This is explaining how to do something with your product, right? It's telling someone this is how you use your product. This is what you do. I was talking to my friend's daughters the other day, and a 20-year-old college student, right? College students spend a lot of money. She said she's been spending a lot of time on TikTok looking at explainer videos for makeup. And she's not even a really, you know, big makeup person, but she wanted to get more into it. So again, depending on who you're targeting, explainer videos, they work really well for building things, you know, if for painting, for projects, for crafts, for clothing, you know, this is how things look, this is what you do. If you're a hairdresser, explainer videos will really work for you. So that's number one use. Number 2 is social media. And they're you know, codependent there, right? You can take an explainer video and put it on social media. So you can see how people are using video. Rating and review sites. This is really important. I know people hate them, businesses hate them, but consumers love them. 79% of consumers trust an online review as much as a personal recommendation from somebody they know. This stat has always blown me away. So they trust the word of strangers as much as they trust the word of people they know. So that's why you have to pay attention to these rating and review sites. 89% of consumers will read an online review before they buy anything. Yelp used to be the number 1 place. It's now second. Most people will read a Google review, and a lot of people will read, over half, at least 4 product reviews before buying a product. I know I do that. So I won't buy a product that doesn't have a review. Content marketing. So content marketing is important because Google says it's important, and we just live in Google's world. So whether you're B2B and B2C, you can see what the content journey is to attract possible customers, right? to down the funnel to how to convert. And some of the things are similar, like, a white paper is similar to a buyer's guide in depending on how it's done, but the B2B journey and the B2C journey is a little different with the same goal in mind. But the B2B companies are using a lot more B2C tactics today. So you need to be aware of that. It used to be, oh, B2B, I don't have to worry about this. You do have to worry about all those things. Then you have to build your network, right? It's really important to build your network. You want to find your communities. That means, who are your targets? Where are they? Where are they hanging out? Attend events where they are. I mean, if you're a local business, you want to attend as many local business events as possible. You want to get your face in front of people. That means it could be meaning going to, schools have fairs, going to a school fair, a city fair, sometimes depending on your business, even farmers markets attract businesses that are not selling the fruits and vegetables. So check out what's in your area and get involved in your city, be a mentor, sign up with SCORE. SCORE's totally looking for mentors all the time. They'll tell you a little bit about that later. You get a mentor. To me, and I'm not saying this because this is a SCORE presentation, SCORE is vitally important. Last year, a little over a year ago, we got an offer. Somebody wanted to buy our website, and I had no idea. Like, what does that mean? Like, what am I charging? I have no clue. I asked my accountant. He goes, I don't know. This is a specialty. I don't know. So I called SCORE and I said, what do I do? How do I evaluate this? And my mentor, they gave me this mentor, and he said, here's what it looks like. Here's this, and he was right, and we got that price, and I had no clue. I would have asked hundreds of thousands less. So I think having a mentor is really vital to success. Networking opportunities are everywhere, right? Just be aware wherever you are. Take your business cards with you. Don't listen to people who say business cards are passe. They're not. You go in a Little League game, you never know where you're going to meet somebody who either is in need or knows somebody who is in need of your product and service. So hone your elevator pitch, right? That's your 30-second presentation of who you are and what you do, because you never know where you're going to need to use that. And always follow up, right? If you get a lead, and a lead can be you exchange cards or email addresses with somebody, even like I said, you meet at a Little League game, always follow up with them. Other important things, get started. Don't talk about it. Don't think about it. That happens all the time. Okay, yeah, I know I need a marketing plan. Oh, I need to start with email marketing. I need to do it. Actually do it. You have to get started and innovate. Think of how you can be different, right? There's very few businesses today are unique. It's very few are unique. So it's about, how do you take that business that is similar to other businesses and make yourself stand out? What unique touches can you bring? I think about that. Marketing enables you to be unique. You don't have to create a new product to be unique. And the best example of this is an old example, but it's the example of Domino's Pizza. Tom Monahan, when he started Domino's back in the 60s, right? He didn't invent pizza. He didn't invent pizza delivery. He didn't invent putting like California Pizza Kitchen. Like, oh, let's put something different on your pizza. He took your regular, everyday, adequate pizza, not a big Domino's fan, sorry, and said, I'm going to give you your pizza in 30 minutes or less and you'll get your money back. They don't do that anymore, but that was what made Domino's stand out. That was their innovation. It was a marketing promise, and it made billions and billions and billions of dollars for that man. So it's a marketing promise. That's why marketing is so important. Christina, or Tom, I think this is your page.
Thank you very much, Reiva. So some of the SCORE resources that we have available for you here, we have marketing and sales templates, marketing plan guide, quick start to marketing plan tool and worksheets. In a moment, I can let Tom explain some of these. If you'd like to request a mentor, which we highly suggest that you do, you can go to score.org/find-mentor. If you would like to volunteer a couple hours throughout the month, you can do so by clicking on that link, score.org/volunteer. And there's the link to our local website, centralvalley.score.org. You can register for upcoming webinars. And Tom, would you like to take over and tell us about a couple of the marketing templates that are available?
Yes, sorry I missed my cue. But I think that you explained it extremely well. Each one of these links leads to multiple other layers of links. That's all I would say. This is a nice breakdown of what we have. I want to echo what Reiva mentioned several times. You need a SCORE mentor. You might even need a SCORE mentor just to mentor you to figure out what you need a mentor for. But have a conversation. It's free, it's open-ended, and your first session will be a getting to know you. We're not going to come at you with a pre-done diagnostic. This is what you need, although we have some tricks up our sleeve and we have a package, but we're not going to try to sell you anything. We want to find out where you are and meet you where you are, and propose a relationship where we can walk alongside you for as long as it's needed and as often as it's needed. So nothing's prescribed. What we really want to get into right now is the opportunity to drill down on some of the wonderful ideas that that Reiva has brought before us. By the way, this is how you get your mentor. You you go to this link and it will open the door. You request one. You don't have to know a lot of stuff to do it. Put your name in the information that's requested in there, and you will be contacted very soon about a mentor. We have several other panelists with us today. Let me introduce those. Who do we have? We have, let me see if I can see them. I think we have Michael, who is comes to us, Michael Moore from the banking industry, and he's up in the Modesto chapter. And I think we have Lynn. Do we have Lynn? If we have Lynn and she has her hat on, we'll see her. Okay, well, let's start with the questions that have already been posted. Reiva, how do I get more traffic to my website? The perennial question.
It is the perennial question. So you start with search, right? Because that's where most consumers start. So there's organic search and then there's paid search. So organic is the things Google gives you credit for, things like page speed, things like you know, it's about you using the keywords that people are searching on and incorporating that. SEO is a whole, it's a thing. Again, I think businesses, particularly small ones, should think about where are you best served using your time? Are you best served, you know, trying to sell, developing product, meeting people, or are you best served trying to figure out SEO? I think that's really, you can outsource that stuff and it doesn't cost you a lot of money to outsource it. So because you're not going to be you're not an SEO expert, you're an expert in what your business is. And if you want to become an SEO expert, that'll take you as much time as it took you to become an expert in your own business. But that's where it starts. It's about using the words, and that works with voice marketing as well. It's different keywords, but so it's about doing that and then doing the things that Google wants you to do, which is having content on your site. The more content you have, the more you post fresh content, the more, I call it, the spiders come by and there's a ping and you get credit and you move up in the rankings. And then there's paid search, right? You can go to Google and buy a Google ad and pay them to move you up in the rankings. Normally the paid, like when you go to Google, the paid ads are above the organic ranking. So that's number one, but also it's about email and social media. Like if you have a social media page, use your social media page to drag people to your website. You know, put something interesting and say, hey, it's on my site. Here's the link to my site. So don't think that those things are not important, because it all feeds into building traffic back at your business.
Thank you, Reiva. That's great. I love your first word you led with today, integration. You can't not integrate, right?
Exactly.
So Michael's going to ask the next. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you. Michael's going to ask the next question.
Well, I think really what it boils down to is, how can I create the most effective marketing plan? You have a lot of people out there who, you know, they've got their idea, they've got their product, and okay, now how do I get it out there? How do I bring these elements together and move them forward?
So the key is, you have to, not all marketing methods work the same with all target audiences. So again, that's why you're building your buyer persona. And once you have that persona, you have to figure out, where are those people, right? So social media, everybody uses social. I showed you that. But the younger audiences, Gen Z, and don't ignore Gen Z, the oldest Gen Zs are now in their early 20s. So a lot of them are out there earning a living and spending money, and college students spend money, and teens, gosh knows how much money teens spend. They're on social looking for things. They would never not think of going to a search engine to find what they're looking for. So you're looking at that. In the pre-pandemic times, people knew that baby boomers, baby boomers are between like 58 and 75 or so. People thought baby boomers aren't really online, so we don't have to market to them online. Pandemic changed all that, totally changed all that. So that's why you need to keep up. And so if that's your target audience, where 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you may have been ignoring them online, you didn't have an e-commerce site, you weren't really paying attention, you have to pay attention now, because they're buying online. They found it way more convenient to do that. So it's about creating your persona and understanding, how do they get their information? Where do they go to? Are they on social media? Are they receptive to email? Even direct mail. Direct mail still works in a lot of businesses. Don't print up, expensive brochures, but doing some direct mail marketing through postcards has been very effective. Not that costly. And again, you can geo-target. So if you have a local business, whether it's a store or you're a local accountant, doing direct mail can really be helpful. Or even those signs, sign hangers. It works for real estate. It works for a lot of home remodeling service businesses, to just hang those door signs on people's doors. So figure out where your customer is and then adopt those practices first.
Reiva, if I can ask a follow-on question. I know that at one time it was really important to have a good mailing list, and you get them from mailing list brokers. Are they still a vibrant part of this, or what should people putting their marketing plan together be thinking about mailing list brokers?
How do I say this nicely? I wouldn't buy a list today. A lot of lists that are for sale are old addresses,
Yeah,
that,
I've noticed.
right? Yeah, that necessarily haven't given permission. So lists are really important, but I think it's key to build your own list.
Okay.
So you can build a list by asking your customers to sign up for stuff, you know, going to a city fair and having a fishbowl, right? Like, you know, so here's your chance to win. And you know, go to Costco and buy something for $50 and let people, you know, here's your chance to win that. And they're putting their name in your fishbowl. That's why people in restaurants do that, like win a free lunch. It's to get that name. And then you want to make sure you get permission, right? Email is still, you will be penalized for email and for text if you don't have permission to market to those people. But when you look at consumer surveys that ask consumers, how do you want to be marketed to? The number one way is email, because it's not intrusive. People
they don't want the phone call.
Exactly. Nobody wants you to call them. And text marketing is on the rise, but you have to be really careful with your balance of text marketing, because at some point it does get intrusive and people just get annoyed and delete you.
Great.
Thank you, Michael. That was very insightful. Thank you, Reiva. Reiva, that was, and then there's some great tools on the common email tool, larger tools like MailChimp and Constant Contact for gathering from your existing social media contacts email lists. Reiva, I really appreciated when you said that you cannot job out social media to an intern. And I immediately, my brain went to some conversations I have with clients about, can you job out making friends and maintaining friendships? Can you appoint somebody to do that for you? And so that kind of leads to Rodney's question. How would you market to business owners?
So
not trying to set up the answer for you, but.
So if you're a B2B marketer, right? LinkedIn has been the most effective way, social media speaking, to reach other businesses. That's where businesses are hanging out. And again, it's about integrating all those things. So what do you do on LinkedIn? You can't just be there, right? You have to be active. So you can write a blog on LinkedIn, or take a blog that you have on your website and post it on LinkedIn. Because with LinkedIn, what you want to do marketing to other businesses is you want to establish your expertise. You want to establish that you know what you're talking about. So if you write a blog that is about things that reflect what you're doing, for instance, you're an accountant, right? This is the easiest one. People always like, okay, what are some tricks I can use to lower my tax bill? Or, you know, I'm thinking of buying, or I'm thinking of going remote, you know, as a business. What are the tax breaks or the tax implications of that? If you write blogs like that, so people who are looking for that information, they just do a search, and LinkedIn posts are going to show up in a search, or they'll go on LinkedIn and search for that. You're going to crop up as, oh, this person really looks like they know what they're talking about. Maybe I'll give them a call. So that's one way. Another way businesses can reach other businesses is, I always think it's really smart to, if you're a physical business on a street, to look around and who are your neighbors? Who are your neighboring businesses? And are there ways that you can collaborate with them? Like, find the common denominator, right? You're not going to collaborate necessarily with a competitor, but if I own a hair salon, the people who are going to come into my salon are also likely going to be shopping for kids' clothing, right? So is there a kids' clothing store or a kids' bookstore? Because moms go to salons, right? So are there cross marketing that you can do with other businesses? And it works the same with businesses, right? If I'm a marketing designer, you know, people who need my services might also need services of a web host, right? And so see how you can collaborate with other businesses to attract each other's customers, right? It's a two-way street. You promote them, they promote you, whether it's online or in person. It's a really good, inexpensive way to expose yourself to new customers.
That's great. And all those things can be shared across platforms. You put a blog on LinkedIn, you share it on Twitter, you share it on Facebook, share it everywhere. That's great. You know, I met somebody on social media a few weeks ago. We had a conversation last week for about 30 minutes on Zoom. And I think we're going to have cross referrals. In fact, I've already sent her a very nice referral, not from, you know, from my personal life, that I think she's going to end up with $500 a month business. So it's relationships. It's, I have a question here that someone has given us. They want to be the next Blake Mykowski and create Tom's shoes and have their products go viral. They didn't say it that way. How do I make my product go viral?
I don't think you can, I don't think there's a plan, right? I think viral is serendipitous, right? It's, or that's a big part of it. There's parts of being, you know, you have to have a good product, because if your product is not good, viral will be negative, right? So you have to have something that works, something that fits, something that people are intrigued with, that people want. And, you know, with Blake, it was like the Tom Monahan marketing message about 30 minutes or less. But with Blake, it was like, here, do something good for the world. You can put shoes on your own feet, but you can feel good about it because you're putting shoes on somebody else's feet as well. So there's a number of companies that do that. I think that when you look at the surveys, that more and more consumers are concerned about doing businesses with companies that reflect their values. We see this in surveys of millennials and Gen Z. And when I say millennials, people think, oh, young, whatever. So the oldest millennials are in their 40s. These are parents, they have kids, they buy a lot of stuff. They're a huge generation between millennials and Gen Z. It's just enormous. I mean, I think there were 86 million millennials, and I don't know that they've stopped counting Gen Zers. So when you think about how many people that is, they have outsized impact on products, and they want to do business with companies that they feel are good stewards of their city, of their state, of the world. They're looking for sustainable solutions. They're looking for green companies, but they want to do business with companies that reflect their personal values. So they're looking for companies that treat their employees well. I've always been marveling, particularly at local companies that don't treat their employees well and think that that employee doesn't live next door to people who are customers and tell their neighbors, you know, he's a really bad boss, or, you know, she's a terrible person, and people are going to stop doing business with you. It's just, you know, people talk. And so you want to be a good boss. You want to be a good steward of your city. You want to contribute to charitable causes. You want to take part in charitable events in your community. You want to hire locally. You want to do things that make an impact in that community. And again, that goes back to people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So that's really what it comes down to. And there's a statistic that at least, I think it's 70% of millennials and Gen Z are currently boycotting at least one business who don't do business the way that they're comfortable with. I mean, I personally am boycotting 4, I think. So, and I'm not a millennial. So, or, you know, I'm a boomer. So
I need to catch up.
Yeah. You know, so I think that's really important today. And like 10 years ago, nobody really thought about that. And that's, we're going back to the viral question. You're not going to get to go viral until you click all those criteria. But also, don't waste your time trying to be viral. Just provide a good product at a good price, or a good service at a good price, and take it from there.
So good news travels fast. How about bad news, bad reviews? What's the importance of damage control in your marketing?
So,
and how can you turn damage control into a positive?
Yeah, so good news travels fast, bad news travels faster. I don't remember the exact stat, but people who have a good experience, it's something like they'll tell 8 people, and those people tell people, and people who have a bad experience will tell 12, and those people will tell more people. And so it's really important to manage ratings and review sites. So what you have to do is see what people are saying about you. Some people like try to avoid it. Years ago, I was at a conference, and a woman local raised her hand and said, I have a local coffee shop, and I'm not on those sites because I don't want people to talk bad about me. And I said to her, they're talking bad about you whether you're on that site or not. You need to get there to say, hey, I'm sorry that happened. I want people to look at rating and review sites in a different way. I want you to think about looking at it as a free focus group, right? Understand that those people are talking about their experience with your business. And unhappy people tend to talk more, but maybe there's a germ of truth. So you want to read your reviews to see if there's any commonalities, right? If you have a restaurant and a lot of people are complaining about your French fries, maybe your French fries are bad. Maybe you need to change the way you cook your fries, or get different potatoes, or whatever. So look at them to see if there are any commonalities. If somebody leaves a bad review, you don't want to let it stand, right? You don't want to ignore it. You want to say to that person in public on that site, I'm so sorry you had that experience. I'd like to learn more, or I'd like to make it up for you. And then take that conversation offline. You don't want to have that in public. So you want to find out from that person what happened, what, and then make it up to them, and then go online to make it up to them. I'll give you a personal example. A few weeks ago, we ordered some pizza, and my husband and I don't like the same pizza. So we ordered 2 different pies, right? And ordered it from a local place, small pizza chain here in Orange County. And we got 3 pizzas, none of them were the ones we ordered. So I immediately through the pizza place, tried to contact their company that delivered the pizza, and you couldn't, which was weird. The person who delivered it immediately cut off communication, so I couldn't email them. I couldn't text them. I tried to call the pizza place. They were too busy to pick up the phone. I tried to contact the delivery company, and there was no contact information on that because the contact was through the pizza company. So I went on Twitter because I didn't know what else to do. And I went on Twitter, and I was polite, but I said, I got 3 pizzas. None of them were the one I wanted. I couldn't reach anybody. I feel really bad for the people who ordered 3 pizzas and only got 2, none of what they wanted. And I mentioned the pizza place and the food delivery service. And I'm going to name them because they never got back to me, DoorDash. And I'm mad. And this is what I mean. People who are mad will spread that. DoorDash they never answered me on Twitter. I tweeted them 3 times very politely, never got back to me. The pizza place, Pyology, I'll mention them too, anybody in Orange County, contacted me on Twitter, said, we will raise your concerns with people in the home office. I got a phone call from the people in the home office, and they sent me coupons for free pizza. So that is how you do it, right? You acknowledge people in public. I'm sorry you had that. That's what they did. Then they said, DM me, please DM us and share the details So no one else saw that on Twitter but me and the pizza place. And then they had someone call me and I got free coupons. That is how you establish good relationships with companies. And bad is DoorDash, who I will not use again, because if you're not going to answer your customers, what good are you? Why would I ever go back to you? I think that that's really important. So bad reviews, use them for the knowledge they offer you and for the opportunity to show other people that you care and that you're trying to make things better.
And you can create quite a wonderful ambassador. I mean, I speak well publicly about a lot of places, recommend them to my friends because of the way they treated me when I had a bad experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true. And it really ties into what we were talking about earlier with, you know, being in the community, doing some good things, you know, and handling problems this way is just one big piece of that.
Yes.
You know, acknowledge, fix it, but take it offline, get it done.
Yeah.
And I think that even goes to Rodney's question of going viral. You've created friends and ambassadors and advocates for you.
Yes.
And they become the conveyors of your message. This passed through my mind, storytelling. Can you talk about storytelling? We have so many wonderful tools like YouTube and Vimeo and for storytelling. And I've always heard that facts tell, but stories sell.
Yeah. So that's a great line.
Yeah, I like that.
Storytelling is a way to communicate what you are about in a manner that people can easily understand, and it makes it relatable, right? So it's like you said, facts are not relatable. People listen to numbers and it's like, okay, I get it. But if you can weave a story about who your business is and what you do, that makes you relatable. If you can talk about, hey, you know, this restaurant is fourth generation in my family, started by my great grandma who did all this. You're creating a sense of community. You're creating a sense of trust, like, ooh, 4 generations, they've been around a long time. How great it's still in the family. You're weaving a story around your company that makes you almost instantly trustable, instantly relatable. And so you want to do that. So people are going to remember that kind of story before they're going to remember, 33% of people, blah, 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 blah. So it's about, I don't know that it works for every business. So I think you have to use it judiciously, but think about anything interesting that's happened in your origin story. Like, you know, what got you started? You know, for me, and you know, I'm a journalist, right? But it's interesting because when I used to talk to back in the 90s when women were just starting businesses, instead of going up there and saying 33% of blah blah blah, my instantly relatable story was, when I was in high school, my guidance counselor said, this is what you can be. And women of my age could relate to that. I got 3 choices, none of which I wanted to be. And I was, you know, a 15-year-old kid going just because I had to say something. And I just blurted out, I want to be a journalist. And I had no idea, but I know that I had seen women's names in the New York Times on bylines. And so that made, just telling that story at the beginning of a presentation made all those women in the audience go, oh yeah, you know, because everybody was able to relate on some level to that story. I couldn't tell that today to an audience of young women because that's not what today's reality is. You have to understand who you're talking to and what you're saying when you craft that story. But even today, if I talk to business owners like about retail and they think, oh, what do you know about retail? So you tell the story. I grew up in retail, right? When I was born, my parents, they were young. they lived with my grandfather. My grandfather had a liquor store. I used to play in the back of the liquor store. When I was 6, my father opened a men's clothing store. My entire childhood was spent in retail. So I know about that because that was the family business. And so you tell that story and all of a sudden people are like, oh, she's not just, talking about that from that outside perspective. She's lived it. And I think that's how you use a story, is to make people connect to you.
That sounds like a real gold mine of material right there. I mean, it should be never ending stories about me as a child in the liquor store, But I think really, broadly speaking, many businesses probably don't even realize that they have a wealth of material to talk about. In banking, we were always dealing with small companies coming to us. And one of the first things I would ask them is, how did you get in this? Oh, well, I used to work for so-and-so, and then, and then this happened and this happened. And they told me I had to do this. And I said, forget it. I'm going to go do it. They've all got a story. And it's like, don't be afraid to share it. Positive, of course. And take it out there and make you not only believable, but be a somebody instead of, yeah, he's a vendor. Yeah, no, that's Jack. He's got great stuff.
Exactly. Right. That's how you stand out. That's one of those ways you can stand out from the pack, is making people relate to, oh, he's Jack. Did you know this? Did you know this about him? Know your audience when you tell your story.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, my dad was Jack, and he spent his whole career doing B2B with restaurants. And, on Sundays, we'd go to a restaurant sometimes after church, and he'd walk in, hey, Jack, how you doing? There were lots of stories that gathered around, but it was relational. We got treated really well. I knew that if he got greeted like that when he walked in, with his stuff to sell. Well, we could talk all day, and we have resources. Yeah. The thing is, we want you to come back to our other webinars and budget your time on August 26th. Learn the basics of Google Ads. You have a link for registering. Make sure that you're on our mailing list. Make sure that you visit the SCORE local website to see what's coming up, because we want you to. Now, is that a Reiva? Are you the one that's doing Google Ads, or is that one of our other? Okay.
I think it's probably a Google ad expert.
Well, we certainly look forward to the next time we get to spend with you, Reiva.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Me too.
And by the way, on storytelling, Michael and I and, 13,000 other SCORE mentors are looking forward to you practicing your story on us. And in our initial conversation, I just love to hear your story.
That was good.
Yeah,
as we go, I'm just going to add one real quick story. I had a group of younger bankers, and I was trying to educate them about some various things and tips and dangers and risk and all this sort of stuff. And as I went on, I realized I was getting this, sort of response. And afterwards, I was thinking about it. I said, these kids have no idea the world I came from, and everything I'm talking about that I think is brilliantly insightful. They're like, what are you talking about? The worst part was when I told them, we didn't have computers. And,
What? Yeah.
Our peak of technology was an IBM Selectric.
And you were
got their attention, but they stopped listening to me.
Yeah, exactly. I can remember my first electric typewriter. I was like, whoa.
Wasn't that exciting?
Cool.
And then when they would be able to one-liner ribbon, I'll tell you, I still recommend a book that was written in the 1920s by Frank Betcher on how I raised myself from failure to success in selling. And my clients will come back and say, oh, that's the greatest book. I said, yeah, it's still relevant today. Everything's the same. It's just we're using a different medium. Thank you so much, Reiva. Any closing words for us to get us on the road?
Just do it. It's what I said before. You have to get started. And if you need help, I really cannot recommend a SCORE mentor more. And honestly and sincerely, I would not have been able to sell my business for what my website. We have a new website, Small Business Current, for what we did if it weren't for SCORE. And you know, sometimes you just have a mentor on call that is there for when you need that. You don't necessarily need one especially once you get your business off the ground. Check in with your mentor once a month, once every 2 months, just to like, okay, what do I do now? And it's just immensely helpful.
Absolutely. And just for our well-being, phone home, you know, we never hear from you.
Exactly.
Okay, everybody. So we look forward to the next time together. I'm going to ask the team to stay on for a little debrief, but the rest of you, go eat some lunch, you know, or get a second breakfast.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Reiva.
Thank you.
Reiva.